Women educators are natural givers, pouring into their students, their families, and communities. But what about pouring into you? This is the Educator Sanctuary, where we help you ditch the guilt and unapologetically put yourself at the top of your list. I'm Dr. Leah, educator, mindset coach, and your guide to creating a life where you align with your purpose and reclaim your power. So if you're ready to set boundaries and step fully into the woman you're meant to be, you're definitely in the right place. Let's get into it. Hey, and welcome back to the Educator Sanctuary, where we have big conversations, mindset shifts, personal growth, and all the things that help us live more intentionally. Whether you're a mom, a teacher, a community leader, or woman holding space for others, this show is absolutely for you. Listen, lately I have been noticing something that keeps coming up in my world, on social media, all around me, in my relationships with other friends. But I have seen so many people expressing that they do not want to live any longer because they're tired of living the same life. Not because they're ready to completely exit this world, but because they are tired of the same cycles. Every year is feeling like the same thing. Some are working 2 or 3 jobs and they're still not making ends meet. Some just hate getting up to go to work every day because it has to be more to life than just going to work and paying bills. Some are trying to get healthier or become more emotionally stable, but they keep hitting the same roadblocks, injuries, toxic relationships, or situations that they cannot escape. A lot of people feel like they're in survival mode, like they're barely keeping their heads above water, and they're asking themselves, what do I do? How do I make more money? How do I feel great in my body? How can I finally enjoy my life without being dictated by my bank account or my personal circumstances? And the most common answer that most people reach out for is external. The next job, the next relationship, the next solution outside of themselves. But the truth that I've learned over the years is that change is 100% entirely and completely an inside job. We do hear that all the time, right? Do affirmations, journal, go to therapy. And yes, all of those things are helpful. I will never tell you that they are not. But without deep internal work, it is literally like going outside in your grass and plucking the dandelions from the tops. This literally only scratches the surface. It's only going to look pretty for maybe a day. If you do not dig up weeds at the root, the same patterns will continue to pop up over and over again. So today, I want to share with you some books and resources that can actually help you reprogram your mind, address those root patterns, and actually shift your results so your life starts moving in your favor, and not just temporarily, but in a way that actually lasts. Now, you know, if I'm talking about this, then I've been there. Absolutely. Years ago, I was definitely in a place where I was frustrated with the same cycles repeating over in my life. I've also coached hundreds of women since then on mindset work. And I've seen this play out over and over again. Women who are working hard, doing all the right things, or feeling like they are, but still ending up in the same place year after year. And it honestly breaks my heart when I see people at the point of giving up, because I know that they don't have to. The shift is never in your external circumstances. It is always in the internal programming. And the right books and resources can literally change your entire trajectory if you're willing to do the work. So I'm going to be starting with the root work, the stuff that needs to get rid of the dandelions by the root, like dig them up and toss them out instead of just cutting off the tops. So my first book is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I absolutely love this book. It is the foundational book for me. If anybody is ever talking about, oh, I need to get better, I'm like, go read The 4 Agreements. Why? Because that book shows how our own limiting beliefs
are literally the only thing standing between us and the freedom that we want in life, the joy that we want, the life of more than enough. One line that sticks with me is when he says, to be free, we really have to forget everything we learn and adopt a new perception of reality. So if you think about that for a second, it's like you can do those affirmations and journaling and therapy and all that other stuff. But if you're still going to allow yourself to run on an old program, then you'll keep creating the same life you had yesterday, yesteryear, and all the years before. The 4 agreements breaks down the specific agreements that we can make with ourselves, like being impeccable with our words, not taking things personally, not making assumptions, and always doing your best. And they aren't just rules, but tools to identify the beliefs that are quietly controlling your life so that you can learn how to dismantle them one by one. My second book, The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. So this book is the one that digs into self-sabotage and all of the emotional patterns that keep showing up in our lives. She talks about how trauma, unmet needs, and unresolved emotions can create loops in our behaviors. And one concept that really hits hard is when we resist the discomfort of change, that we can unconsciously act in ways that continue to keep us stuck. So she frames this as climbing the mountain within yourself, confronting those internal blocks that are limiting you. And I like this because it directly addresses the patterns that I see women repeat every day when they rely solely on these surface level tools like journaling without addressing the subconscious beliefs fueling the actual behaviors. Book number 3, Atomic Habits by James Clear. So this one is after you become aware, right, from the 4 agreements, you become aware of the limiting beliefs you have. After you read The Mountain Is You, so that you can continue to dismantle the emotions hidden in your subconscious mind that continues to keep you in those loops. Now you can start to create change by creating new patterns that actually stick. And so in this book, he talks about small actionable habits and how even 1% of improvement compounds over time. The new system has to support your growth. For example, if your old programming says, I'm not enough, then no amount of journaling or affirmations for that matter that you will ever do will permanently change that belief unless your structure and environment and routines continues to reinforce that you are enough and that you are worthy. I hope this makes sense to you. I'd want to also say, once you start saying, I am enough or that you are worthy, there will be circumstances and situations that come out that are not as obvious to get you to choose yourself. And in choosing yourself is how you get to change the trajectory of your worthiness. You're going to be tested on pretty much everything that you need to change about yourself to get that old programming to leave. The next book is The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. Now, in this book, he talks about your subconscious mind and how it constantly runs a show. And let me tell you, it is, okay? 95% of every single thing that you do every single day, everything you eat, everything you drink, everything you dream of, everything you speak of, the people you encounter, every single thing, the decisions you make, 95% are subconscious, automatic decisions. You are not making any choices most of the time. You are being driven to those experiences by your subconscious mind. The quicker we learn that, the better. So he highlights how you can program your subconscious mind through visualization and belief work, but that it has to be repetitive and intentional. If you're only scratching the surface with affirmations, then you're basically whispering to the part of your mind that's doing all the driving. You basically have to shout at it, this is what I want. And you have to do it over and over and over again. You cannot do it a few times. It has to be repetitive. And you know, when I talk about repetitiveness, this is only my perception, but they always say it takes 21 days to build a habit. And I think when people hear that, they're like, oh, if I just engage in something for 21 total days, but it's 21 consistent days. So it's like if you did day 1, day 2, day 3, but you didn't do anything day 4, day 5, day 6, you jump back on day 7 and 8, you didn't do anything day 9 and 10 and 11, you jump back on for 12 and 13, you did not build a habit. So by the time day 21 comes, yeah, you didn't do anything. You need to start over. And you need to continue to start over until it's continuous. So that 21 days is just building a habit, but it takes more than 90 days for it to start to become an ounce of a transformation. And then more than 6 months, and then it's like, boom. Now we're at a lifestyle. Now we're keeping up with this, and we're probably not changing. But it needs to be consistent. If it is not, I feel like you should just start over at day 1. Book number 5, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Now, I probably read this book a lot of times, and I probably could stand to read it another time. But this is where he talks about that upper limit issue and how we unconsciously limit our success and our happiness because of fear or guilt or ingrained beliefs. And so he explains that moving to your full potential and expanding your capacity is that you first have to recognize where you are self-sabotaging and then consciously expand beyond it. This also requires that deep intentional work. But I feel like if you read those other books in the order that I gave them, you'll be doing the work along the way so that by the time you get to this book, it's like, okay, boom, you have identified those loops and behaviors that prevent you from stepping into more abundance, love, and success. And now you can make a plan to resolve it. If you are new here, I always give homework because educator sanctuary. And so what kind of educator would I be if I did not assign homework? But I would like you to pick a book that resonates with you. But if I'm being honest, I gave them to you in the order that I think they should be read. And that would be like the 4 agreements, the mountain is you. I don't think we should start creating habits when we don't even know what habits to create. So maybe pick book 1 or 2, whichever one resonates with you, before you move to 3, 4, or 5. But pick the one book that resonates with you to start. Then as you read, start trying to pay attention to those recurring patterns or beliefs that show up in your life. The invisible loops that keep creating the same results. Journal about them. Ask yourself, what am I doing that reinforces this pattern? And then take one intentional action to disrupt it. So one example I can use for myself is when I was growing up, and my mom definitely did this in the best interest of me, but she basically was like, hey girl, you're going to have to work hard. No one's going to give you anything. You have to work hard at what you want. And you know, you're a little black girl, and black girls, we tend to have to do more than some of our other counterparts. And you got to stand out and you have to do this. So I've always worked really hard. And a lot of times I saw people doing less than me, getting more than me. And at some point that just didn't sit right. It's like, hey, how do they get to be mediocre? And they get to have all of these things, but I get to work extra hard. And even though I'm achieving, I'm exhausted because I'm working so hard. And I'm not going to even lie to you. It wasn't until about 2018 that I sat with myself. I did some deep visualization and some deep questioning. And I'm asking myself, what is it that is making me have to work so much harder than everybody else? Like everybody else is doing a little bit and I'm doing a lot. And it literally came to me as clear as day. I remember I was at the gym walking on the treadmill and I was listening to another podcast. And it was while I was listening to that podcast, he was asking the questions that made me start thinking. And I said, oh my God, I have been acting from a place of programming that was given to me when I was a kid. And so I literally had to start saying, no, I relinquished that. Absolutely not. That was then and this is now. Everything in my life comes easily and effortlessly to me. Success comes easily and effortlessly to me. It doesn't mean that I don't have to do work, but I'm absolutely not going to be working 10 times as hard as everybody else and crying through stuff and watching other people gain success when they don't even do a fraction of what it is that I can do. And while it wasn't an immediate change, I can definitely say now that some things are coming to me with very little effort, meaning I put in some type of work and make some type of action, but I'm getting back more in return than I expected. Why? Because now I expect things to be easily and effortless. When I'm in my business, yes, I'm doing work, but I'm not exhausting myself from doing the work. And the work that I put in is getting me back a bigger return on my investment than what used to happen before. So whatever you do, the goal is to start proving to yourself that you can think, respond, and act differently. And that change begins within you. It's not external of you. Internal transformation does not happen by accident. It happens when you are willing to dig deep, reprogram, and update your own internal operating system. So if we think about, we update our phones, our computers, and our apps constantly. But how often do we update the part of us that actually runs our life? So that is what I want you to work on this week. If this episode resonated with you, listen, share this out with at least 20 people who need this reminder. And I know there's more, but share it with 20. And if you're an educator or a teacher who's finally ready to step into your gifts, create more income, and design a life you actually enjoy, please check out my Beyond the Bell Cash Flow Blueprint. All of that information is in the show notes. And even taking this one small step is a way of showing up for yourself and letting your subconscious mind know that you're moving out of comfort and moving into what you desire and deserve. I'm actually grateful for your presence here today. I absolutely cannot wait to see you in the next episode. Talk soon. Thank you for joining me in the Educator Sanctuary, where we create a space for women educators to reclaim their power and prioritize themselves unapologetically. If you've loved what you've heard, please do not forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with other amazing women who need to hear this message. Until next time, remember, you are capable, you are powerful, and you are absolutely worthy. You've got this. Talk soon.